Homesteading is a lifestyle choice. Whether you have a large or small space, you can move towards self-sufficiency. Start with what you need and add more as you can. Start small and grow in confidence. Start with the basics and increase your knowledge. At Bryant's Roost, we believe in sustainability, education, and forward momentum. Follow us on our journey for tips, hacks, and insights. We can grow together.
These brooders are amazing. I couldn't be happier with this company.
We absolutely love these cages.
One at a time, okay, guys?
Hey everybody, welcome to another Coturnix Corner Live. Glad you guys could join us tonight. I hope everyone is doing well, and I hope you all are getting amazing hatch rates. We have a new format that we started a few weeks back, and it seems to be well received by most of the people that watch the live streams. It's a format that we're calling Farm Introductions, where basically what we do is we feature a new breeder or farm each week and have them tell us a little bit about their business, about their farm, birds or hatching eggs that they may have available. So I thought this would be a good way for you guys to get to know, who's who and what they have to offer. Tonight's guest is Leah Kulas, who lives up near Tampa, Florida, and I've actually had the pleasure of meeting her. She came down and picked up some birds for me, and birds and hatching eggs, I believe. And we're going to get her out here in a second, but I do have a few announcements that I need to go through. First off, special thanks to our sponsors. Oops, wrong screen. Sorry about that. Hatching Time, Thieving Otter Farm, Gopher Ridge Quail Farm, and Bryant's Roost. All these sponsors donate stuff to give away here on the channel. And we'll actually be doing some giveaways tonight. We are going to have a $50 Hatching Time gift certificate, a 30 count of hatching eggs from Thieving Otter Farm, and a 30 count of mixed hatching eggs from Bryant's Roost. This week we are giving Gopher Ridge Quail a break. What we're going to do is we kind of switched it up how we select winners for the prizes. Basically what I'll do is select the winners usually from the questions that are asked, and instead of waiting till the end of the show to find out if you won, we actually pick a winner early on. We'll pick a winner halfway through the show and then another winner towards the end of the show. That way if you get bored, you don't have to hang around and just to find out if you won hatching eggs or whatever. So if you would, in the comment sections, please type the letter Q with questions for our guest tonight, because I'm not going to be going through and reading all the comments like we normally do. Like I say, I will be selecting winners for the giveaways from those comments. Shout out to our moderator, Kerry Blackman. I don't know if I saw him in here yet tonight or not. Doesn't look like he's in yet, but shout out to him anyhow, because he does a wonderful job of keeping the chat room clean and keeping, everybody playing nice. Just a quick shout out about our Sunday morning live streams, which is Morning Musings, Coffee and Quail with Terry, which I actually missed this past Sunday because I had some unexpected business come up that I had to take care of. But it's every Sunday, 9 a.m. We just hang out and talk about whatever, and it's a good time. So if you are available on Sunday mornings, join us for that. Also, check out the Coturnix Corner website at coturnixcorner.com. That is where we do the Coturnix Corner Kids giveaway. It's the Coturnix Kids Project giveaway. And that's where your kids can get entered to, win a bunch of prizes. Now I can bring that photo up. These are the prizes that our sponsors donate for the Coturnix Kids program. Homestead Harvest donates some feed. Hatching Time gives us some hatching eggs. And all these are for the kids, to get them started out with quail. Bryant's Roost gets an incubator for the kids. They get a Coturnix Kids Cup from Coturnix Corner. Sunny Place Homestead gets some waterers and feeders, and then they get a Tractor Supply gift certificate. So it's kind of neat. As a matter of fact, I actually should have downloaded a video because we had one of the girls that won last month. She's actually starting to hatch out eggs, and she posted a video over on the Coturnix Corner channel. I should have brought that in today. Forgot about that. The only other thing before I bring out our guest that I want to say is, and this is a shameless plug for Gulf Coast Quail, the mini incubator kits are out for those of you who are looking to want to build a DIY incubator. The minis have been working really well. I've actually tested them for about a month now. Hatched out, I haven't hatched out quail eggs in them, but I have hatched out silky chicken eggs in them, and the incubator does really good. But what I'm going to be doing is to kind of promote the incubators and promote CoturnixCorner.com is we're going to be doing a giveaway of one of these kits. And I haven't made up my mind yet whether I want to do just a plain flat out giveaway or do like a raffle to help raise money for the Coturnix Kids program. But if you keep an eye on CoturnixCorner.com, I'll post all the info over there about that. So I think I about rambled on long enough, and I don't want Leah to get bored over there and take off on us, so I better bring her in. Guys, please welcome Leah Kulas to the live stream. And I don't know why your thing's not showing up, Leah. Hold on a second.
I can see you.
I know, no, that's not what I'm talking about. Your name is supposed to be... Oh, I know why. Hold on a second. Leah, tell them the name of your farm, Leah. There it is.
The name of my farm is Southern Biophilliac. So we actually got our name before we even got quail. Yeah, so the Biophilliac means life, love, and connection. So everything that we do here on our little piece of land is to support living environments through, cool. And we do a lot of regeneration, and diversity is very important to us.
Cool. Yeah, after you told me your name, I actually had to Google it and try to figure out what it meant because I never heard of it. I'm like, what is Biophilliac? So, again, guys, we got a little presentation that Leah put together for us. We're going to run through that. And if you guys have any questions for Leah, like I said, type the letter Q in front of your questions, and we'll get this show started. So if you're ready, Leah, we'll go ahead and bring up the presentation. And
yeah, let's go.
Just let me know when you want to switch scenes.
All right. All right, so I just put up our logo. We just actually put our logo together this past year after we had introduced quail to our farm. And these are some of our beautiful eggs. I just had to showcase our flowers because we do flowers here as well. And you can move to the next slide. So before we even got into quail, we grow a lot of our own food here. And we do a lot of regenerative practices by rebuilding the soil and natural ecosystems. And we are a registered pollinator site. So we do have over 15 butterflies that live here on our farm and host their young here. So that's kind of exciting. And every year we get better and better at growing food. But we had decided that, you know, it was time to move into something else. And you can do the next slide. So that's where we brought quail in. We were looking for something to be a little bit more self-sustainable here, but also work within our constraints because we are small. We felt that chickens might take too much room up, so we decided to go with the quail, both for the egg and meat values. Once we got into them, we absolutely fell in love with them and all the beautiful colors, and decided to get into breeding for both quality and temperament. You can go to the next slide. So last year we started to go out and we started to do farmers markets, started doing education. We've held dispatch classes. We've also gotten our FDAS permit to sell both eating eggs and processed birds. We have 2 area local markets that carry our eggs that we deliver to weekly. There you go to the next slide.
Just real quickly, how hard was it to get that license in Florida?
It really, honestly, was not too hard. The lingo that's online is very difficult to understand, and it can be difficult to get in contact with the people who supply the permitting. I had to source out quite a bit to make sure we had all the proper supplies, had everything set up correctly so that we could get that permit.
Cool. What did the permit run you, by the
It's 110 for the year.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, next slide.
This is one of our newest build outs we just completed. Since we're in Florida and we're subtropic, we have to really keep shade in mind. That's one of the top things, along with predator protection. So we also use the hatching time systems. It works really well for us here, just because our space constraints. I like them a lot, and I like the fact with the systems, I can either open up a whole tier to do a big group, or if I want to do single pairs, I can section them off like that. Got a little baby there who's sleeping in his food. And then we decided to upgrade to the hatching time incubators. We noticed a huge increase in our hatch rates once we switched over. And you can go to the next slide.
Those are those doors in front of your cages there that are covered with all that greenery?
Yes.
Is that live or is that like fake plants?
It's fake. It's just an added layer of shade protection.
Right.
So they've got the shade. We've got a shade cloth over above them, and then I also have the leaf cover as an extra layer of shade.
And good for privacy also.
Yes, that too.
Nice.
So last fall we started to ship out our hatching eggs. We got NPIP certified back in July of last year. We also offer chicks locally and live birds locally. At this time, we're not shipping live birds right now. And then the little black guy on the end, he's how I feel most days of the week.
What varieties are you shipping now?
Right now we're doing an assorted collection, and the sparklies I'm just releasing this week.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But we're working on some other things. Those
Right.
are some of the sparklies. That's a ginger and a blue. We've also got the fawn. We've got rue. So we're working on some really pretty colors. These guys are awesome. Their temperament's great. They lay a really nice sized egg, and they're a good meat bird as well.
Nice.
There you go, the next slide. This is a project we've been working on since it's been about 6 months. We do have regular pansies, but these are the rue pansies that we've been working on. I'm hoping to have these ready soon. They're one of my favorite color patterns, and they've been a lot of fun to work with. They are jumbo sized, lay a great size egg as well, and they're just gorgeous.
Yeah,
I love them
those.
Yeah, their little red heads are so cute when they pop out.
Next one.
Yep, next one. These are some from the fawn collection we're working on. This is another one I'm hoping to be releasing fairly soon. These are just a few different varieties. We have the Italian and Manchurian. Also working on rue fawn or the autumn amber, pearls, and we're now including the ginger fawn as well.
Nice.
And next slide. These are some other ones we're working on. We are trying to get together a sell it online. It's been slowly coming together. but we started off with some new stock for those to rebuild that line. We've got calicos, and then at the bottom here, just because I love redheads, these are just some different variations of rue. We've got blue roofie, and then the one in the second one to the left is homozygous roofie, and then there's heterozygous roofie, and on the end is a regular Egyptian.
Nice.
Next. On the left here, this is my daughter with one of our blacks. She loves the birds. She works with me a lot on them. This is her favorite little boy. So she was showing him off. I was like, I'll put him in there. And then next to that is one of our Egyptians that we're working on as well.
Nice.
I just put these photos up just because they have some funny stories. So on the left is our pup Aurora, and I thought this picture was pretty hilarious because her eyes look like they're going to pop out of her head. And she is deathly afraid of the quail for some reason. I don't know why, but she will steal an egg from you in a heartbeat. So
that's funny.
This was the closest she had gotten to one of the birds. I was doing a photo shoot, and the second the bird moved, she took off screaming.
That's so cool.
Yeah, she's pretty funny. And then on the right side, this was our little photo shoot that we did. I think it was back in the last time the hurricanes were coming through. I was bored. So I was like, this is our hurricane photo shoot of our little blacks.
Wow. I like the Key West buoy there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I had to put some Florida flair in there.
Nice. Okay. I had questions lined up that I wanted to ask you, and you think that I could remember them. What was I talking about?
I probably had more that I even wanted to say and can't remember.
Well, we got plenty of questions coming in, so you can touch on that when we get through the questions. How many birds would you say you have right now? How big's your breeding stock?
We're probably about 500.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a nice setup.
Yeah.
And that's all out in a garage or a barn or?
No, it's all out back. We've got I just did that new build out because I had to move them out. We started on our screen and porch, and
Gotcha.
we outgrew that very quickly. So
I know what you mean. I did the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, let me jump over into the chat room. Again, guys, quick reminder, if you have any questions for our guests, please type the letter Q in front of it, and we will get to them. I just don't want to miss them, and the letter Q really stands out for me. So, all right, a whole bunch of people in the house tonight. I'm not going to recognize everyone just for time constraints. Trucker Planet says, question, how often do you change your breeding sets?
We change our males out about every 6 months, and then the hens about every 8.
Okay. Marlena says, questions, what do you guys recommend for hobbyist recreational birds per square foot?
Usually, it's usually about 2 birds per square foot is kind of how I go. I know some people do more, some do less, but if you do too few, they can get territorial, and that can become a problem.
Yeah, I know when I was using the hatching time cages, I was doing like, if I had the whole level open, take out the dividers, I think I was putting like anywhere between 12 and 14, 15 birds in each level. And
that's roughly about what we do.
Yeah, but it seems so crowded. It's just, you look at them like, wow, they look awful crowded, but they
Right.
do pretty well in there. Okay, let's see. Thieving Otter Farm says she's glad to see you here today, Leah.
Hello.
Shelby Crown loves your logo.
Thank you.
Rebecca likes passion flowers. I do too. We got them growing out back here. Oh, you said something about pollinators earlier. I had today. I've been working on swarm traps, and I got a couple of them hung out. But I lost all my bees. I had 3 hives worth of bees, and I lost them all. Yeah, stupid mosquito control sprayed, and I didn't know that they were spraying, and it pretty much wiped out all my hives. So instead of going out and buying more bees, I'm going to try to catch them. So we're going to see what happens.
You have to keep me posted.
Yeah, we'll see. Let's see. Obsidian 18 says, question. This is Bernadine Markham. I know that name. Do you keep a bachelor pad, or do you cull the extra roos as you go?
We do have a bachelor pad, and for any extra males that don't end up either getting placed or making the breeding program, they do end up getting culled. A lot of our extra culls go to one of the local fox rescues if they don't meet weight for like butchering and processing.
Okay, cool. Alex's question. I've hatched chicken eggs before, but looking to hatch quail eggs and wondering what's the difference with hatching quail. I know they hatch in 18 days instead of 21, but are the temperatures the same?
Yes, temperatures are similar. So you want to be right around 99.5 on the temperature. I usually lock down my eggs on day 14, and then I expect them to hatch right around day 17.
Yep, I do the same. Skyway Paranormal says, what are your favorite colors, quail colors, that you keep?
That can be a difficult one, but right now the rim pansy is pretty much right there at the top.
Yeah,
Then I'd have to say the ginger fawn is a close second.
Sunshine Silver Rabbitry said, question, did you need any specific insurance to sell at farmers markets? Are you required to keep the eggs cold at market? If so, is there a best practice that you have for that?
No, we don't have any specific insurance for farmers markets. We do bring a cooler with us, but quite a few locations that we go to actually have a fridge that we're able to put our eggs into. Why
would you need to refrigerate the eggs? Out of curiosity, I mean.
That is for the ones that we've had to wash. It's due to
gotcha.
How FDAS, it's the permit. It's part of what they require.
And you had to show them you had a 3-basin wash setup and...
Yes, I let them inspect the fridge, show them all the thermometers. You're actually not allowed to keep them in cartons until they're out for sale. So we use like the blue crates that hold about 90 eggs to hold the eggs before they go out.
Uh-huh. That's not the license you have. That's not the Florida, what do they call it? The small poultry license or whatever it is.
It's the limited poultry license or
is
permit.
It? Okay. But that allows you to sell meat also?
Yes. Really?
I thought that was only for eggs. Cool. So what do you have to do as far as the meat? What's the regs on that?
There's I would have to send it. It's a lot to show you everything. Yeah, there's quite a bit involved with it.
So do you sell the meat at the swap meets also? You package that up and sell it there?
Can you see me?
Yeah.
Oh, there. It cut out for a minute.
Yeah, that happens. I forgot to tell you, if you get disconnected or it freezes, just call back in and we'll connect right up. That's happened with who? I think that was with Carrie that was happening. Okay, let's see. Next question. Shelby wants to know, what varieties do you have available?
Currently, right now, we are shipping the assorted, and we just start shipping the sparklies this week. And I will be announcing as we get closer to having the Rue Pansy available, and I'm expecting the Fawn collection very soon as well.
Sweet.
And if you have questions about what we have, feel free to reach out.
Yeah. Well, that's a good question right there. How do they get a hold of you? Website and all that stuff.
Website or Facebook. I'm pretty active on Facebook, or if they want to shoot me an email on my webpage, I get those notifications fairly quickly as well.
What's your website?
It's www.southernbiophilliacurbanfarm.com.
Okay,
And it is linked on my Facebook as well.
there you go. Because I had to look how to spell it. Okay, Gatekeeper wants to know what's the best practices for the farmers markets.
To have fun, honestly. Have fun and meet people. You want to make sure you have a good amount of product with you. Always have your business cards, because most of my sales actually come after the farmers markets. So I use the farmers markets more as an opportunity to educate and connect. And like I said, most of my sales are afterwards. I bring just a few birds. I don't bring many of the adults, and I never bring chicks. And then we usually have, we also have seeds and plants that we sell there as well. And then it's education and just having fun with people.
Okay. And Gatekeeper Quail, you are going to get some Bryant's Roost hatching eggs. For those of you that we call your name off, make sure you send me, because I don't see my moderator in there. I need your shipping information. You can email it to Terry@CoturnixCorner.com. Make sure I got a good email address and a good phone number along with your shipping info. And we will get that over to the people that will be supplying your hatching eggs. So anyhow, that's Bryant's Roost, Gatekeeper Quail. Thanks for that question. Big Tree Farms says question, are you hand plucking your processed quail?
I do scald them for about 30 seconds, and then we do hand pluck. Yeah. I haven't moved on to a plucker yet.
Let's see. You know what you got to get is one of those drill attachment pluckers. Them work really well.
I've been looking at those. Yeah.
Well, I had both. I have the drill attachment and the hatching time plucker. And in the time it takes me to get everything set up, I can do the drill attachment almost as fast as the big bucket one. So.
Oh, that's good to know. Yeah.
And they're cheap. They're cheap compared to the price of the regular electric one, the big one. Jesse Ben Bourne says, question, do you have plans for your build out?
The one that I showed in the photos, or what we're planning next?
Are you planning another one?
We're probably going to be doing another one. I think we're going to do one that's a little bit smaller, maybe holds 2 cages.
Cool. Teresa says, questions. I see a lot of hatching eggs being sold from southern states. Do those quail do well if they're shipped and hatched in a colder environment?
Well, if the incubator settings are the same pretty much across the board, I wouldn't see any issues from one climate to another. Now, I know there's issues with altitudes. So some people with altitudes can have issues with hatching eggs in general.
Right. I think she's asking if the quail themselves do well in a colder environment. I see a lot of hatching eggs being sold from southern states. Here, I'll bring it back up so you can read it.
Okay.
Do those quail do well if they are shipped and hatched in a colder environment?
I would think that this would have to do with them just adjusting to it. I know Coturnix quail in general do well in cold areas. I mean, mine came from the north and came down here and had to be introduced to the heat. So, and it just takes adjusting. It's similar if, you're getting chicks ready to go off of heat. It's just adjusting them to it.
Yeah, I would think, being hatched out of an egg, they don't know, I've never heard of anybody having issues, and I've shipped eggs up north many times, and, they've always done fine, so. I can see live birds that may take a little bit of an adjustment period. But.
Yeah, that's what I could see as well, if they hadn't been exposed before.
Trucker Planet wants to know, which breed would you recommend for startup, or which color variety would you recommend?
Honestly, it depends on what your goals are. So are you wanting a beautiful covey that's for eggs, or are you wanting to raise for both eggs and meat? If you're wanting a colorful covey just for eggs, then you're going to go with the colors that you really, really like. Now, if you're going for eggs and meat, you definitely want to choose a jumbo variety, and those come in a ton of different color varieties as well.
Here's another good question from Gatekeeper. Says, what obstacles did you come upon being urban?
Obstacles. I guess breaking the barrier of that you don't need a whole lot of space to be self-sustainable for yourself and your family.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people think that you need acres upon acres to create something, and that's not how it really is. You can
Right.
do something. You can do something in a small amount of space, and you can make it really amazing.
You wouldn't believe the number of people that have asked me, thinking that I live on a big chunk of land, because I show all my cages and all the birds and stuff, and they're like, "How much land do you have?" And you would laugh. I mean, I can mow my yard. I'm talking the entire yard in like 5 minutes. There's hardly
Right.
any property here, so yeah, you don't need much room for quail, that's for sure.
Not at all.
Bob says, question: how often do you get multiple eggs from each hen per day? My original breeding quintet with 4 heads give me 5 to 7 eggs a day. Anyone else see that?
I know that generally there's an 18-hour movement through the system for the eggs to go through. So 2 in a day is possible, but you don't see it very often.
Mm-hmm. Jeremiah says, what are your breeding goals for quail?
Our goals, our top goals are health and conformation, number one. So we want birds that are healthy, that are vibrant, that also have amazing temperaments. That's really big for us. The color comes last. The color is fun, but if you don't have a good solid bird put together, the color doesn't even matter.
Exactly. Creative Critters Farmstead says, question: how many birds in one color line do you prefer to have before you start selling eggs for that color?
It honestly, it depends on you and your goals. So, and also what you have available for yourself. So, it depends how many egg orders you want to fill a week. There's a lot of variables to decide when you would release something, how many birds you would need.
See, Jesse Ben Bourne says, question: how long does it usually take to establish a line?
For this question, honestly, I think it depends what the stock you start with. So this is there's a lot of variables, I would say, to this question. You can start with poor stock and take a long time to build it to something great, or you can start with great stock and tweak it and make it your own.
Right. And that's I come across that a lot too. People say, that they've got this line or that line when their line actually originated from somebody else. They've got the first generation and they're already calling it theirs. It takes a lot longer to make that your own line. Okay, Obsidian says, what egg weight do you prefer to hatch? Over 14 grams?
It honestly depends on, I do set the larger eggs unless they look like they're double yolkers. Of course, we don't set those. But it depends too on the variety. So some of the varieties do lay a little bit of a smaller egg, but we do tend to set the larger eggs from all of the varieties.
I posted a video over on Facebook a little while ago, earlier today.
I think I saw that one.
Did you? Yeah, people were going. The only reason I posted the video was last week somebody was asking me about hatching out twins, on the live stream. So I posted that video. Yeah. Now,
I thought it was an educational thing.
Now it kind of turned into a debate on how I don't even want to go there. It was crazy. So, Jesse Ben Bourne says, do you keep quail as pets? Any quail as pets?
We have a couple that my daughter has deemed hers, so they are not going anywhere.
My wife was good for that. Willie says, question: how many quail can you keep in a 2-foot by 6-foot cage?
It generally would go back to the about 2 birds per square foot rule.
Jesse Van Boren says questions. What is the worst predator that you've had to deal with or reinforce against?
The hawks here are pretty, they're pretty, they're intense. I've had them go straight at the pens and just latch right onto them and try to get into them. So I'd have to say it's the hawks.
Yeah, we got the same down here. It's I let my Rhode Island Reds, I let them out every day for a little while, to run around the yard. And that's the first thing I think of, is how many hawks or eagles are up there buzzing around, eyeing my birds.
Yep.
Gina wants to know, are you selling the black ones or are you still working on them?
I'm still working on them. I do usually tend to throw one into the assorted.
Carlos Quail says, what do quail taste like?
They're very good. I don't know how to explain them exactly. They're a little bit of a darker meat than chicken, and they are considered a delicacy, but if you cook them right, they're delicious.
They are delicious. I love my quail. Bass Rider Farm says, any tips on getting started selling eggs and adults locally?
With this one, first look into your state's rules. That's a big one. So, for instance, here in Florida, you have to have a game farm permit through Florida Fish and Wildlife to be able to sell quail. So I would definitely first check out your state's regulations and go from there. And then a lot of it is marketing. It's marketing, reaching out to the community. But yeah, start researching your state guidelines.
Mignon says, how many males do you house together?
It depends, honestly, what we have at that time. It could be a few, and sometimes if I have a hatch that's a ton of males, they're all of them going together.
Right. Creative Critters Farm says, questions. How did you find the information that you needed to know to be able to sell at farmers markets and places like that? I've done many searches, but no real answers on quail.
I actually reached out to each individual farmer's market because some of them will allow live birds and some of them do not. So I would reach out directly to them to find out what their restrictions are.
What about as far as finding out what licenses you needed to get from the state to be able to do this?
Yeah, each state's different. So,
did you go through the Department of Ag or?
Yeah, so for our limited poultry permit, we had to go through the Department of Agriculture, and then our game farm permit was through Florida Fish and Wildlife, and then Department of Ag again is who comes out to do our NPIP testing.
So why did they tell you needed a game farm? Coturnix aren't. I called Fish and Game, and they told me I've actually had them out here. One of my neighbors is a Fish and Game, and he said no, only if you keep bobwhites do you need the game farm license.
I was told by the inspector that came out to us is any quail. They were including Coturnix. I don't know when they had last come out to you, and I don't know if that had changed since, because they've actually changed some of the rules on the ducks too now.
Really?
A lot of the ducks are falling under that FWC umbrella.
Wow. Anything to get more money out of you.
I know.
It's not much, though. The game farm license, what is it, like $50 a year or something like that?
Yeah, it's $50 a year.
Yeah, that's not
and
too
they
bad.
come out and inspect every 3 years.
Carl says, what can quail not eat?
For this one, I would say chocolate, avocados, onions, a lot of things that the same with what chickens can't eat. Those are the top ones that pop into my head right off the bat.
Trucker Planet says, is there a book that you could recommend to get more knowledge and information on raising quail?
Oh, this is a tough one. I've read quite a few books, and none of them have really hit all the marks just yet for me. do a lot of research. There's a lot of good web pages online. Pips and Chicks is great. Southwest Game Birds has a lot of good information on there. But I would just do a lot of research. There's a few books, but none of them, like I said, I've really loved.
All right. I don't know what happened with the book yet. I know Martin Yardley was working on a book, and Michael Rose and I believe Rebecca had, they were giving their input on the book as far as proofreading and whatnot. But I don't know what's going on with it. If Rebecca, if you're in here, maybe you could comment what's going on with that book, if you know. Sundial Fragrance says, where did you get the artificial plant / leaves?
A local hardware store. Honestly,
Really?
That's where I found them. Yeah, in the garden section.
Cool. Olive says, questions. Have you noticed a financial return difference between being permitted versus not?
I have actually noticed a difference when people do know that we have the permits, and also that we have our NPIP testing.
Mm-hmm. Mrs. B says, what quail products do you sell at markets?
Right now it's mostly live birds, and we do tend to bring our eggs. We also do seeds and plants as well.
Okay. David says, what eggs sell better, Celadons or the brown eggs?
It would depend if you're asking about hatching or if you're asking about eating eggs. So they're the same across the board for eating, but generally I would say the Celadons are more pricey for hatching.
Okay, Mignon says, what's the most reliable thermometer for your incubator?
The ThermaPro. That's the one.
That's what I use. ThermPros. You got a hatching time incubator?
Yeah.
Yeah. That thing's right on the money.
Yeah, I don't have to worry about it at all. It's nice.
Emma says, where did you learn what you needed to know to farm quail? Did you have a mentor helping you?
In the beginning, no, I was kind of on my own. But thankfully the quail community is awesome. So I've met people along the way, made lots of friends, and just learned as I went along.
Yep. That's what I mean. I've met so many people, from all over the world, and yeah, they've all helped me out. Jesse Ben Bourne says, question, does meat have to be packaged a certain way to sell it?
There's actually quite a few options. There's bags that you can just tie off. We tend to do the vacuum sealing on ours, though.
Yeah. You got a pretty good market for meat?
It's not huge, but we were able to make a little extra off of it.
Sure. John says, question, hi from Katy, Texas. How can I order eggs from her? Am not on a good computer. And not good on a computer. I'm sorry.
Are you on Facebook? I don't know if someone can get her information for me. I can reach out to her.
Him?
Him, yes, sorry, him. It went away too fast.
Yeah. Well, you probably heard the Katy, Texas, and that... Okay, Hannah says, question, what requirements do you have when selecting breeders?
There's quite a few different things that we look at. So first, we're looking at the health of the quail. They have clear eyes, clean nostrils. They look healthy overall. Then we start to look at conformation. Are their wings set good? Is their back nice and straight and long? Do they have a nice sized beak that isn't going to overgrow? And after that, we start looking at the temperament of the bird. If they have a good temperament, then we'll start to look at the color. Colors always last no matter what.
I was just checking on your website for that last comment, the guy from Katy, Texas. I see You've got your phone number on there.
Yes, I do.
Do you care if we put it out here? Because he says he's not good on a computer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine.
Post it here? Okay.
Yeah.
Let me copy that. All right, John, I am posting both her email address and her phone number. And I hope this space works. How do I do that? There we go. And don't blow up her phone, guys. That always happens to me when I give my number.
Silent notifications on if I have
That
to.
always happens to me when I put my number out there. I get my texts just go, they blow up on me. Okay, where are we at here? David says, when you sell meat, is it plucked or skinned?
Actually, I usually do it plucked, but some of my customers prefer it skinned. So it's generally preference.
Okay. Jesse Ben Bourne said, have you ever had a quail bird get loose at a farmer's market?
Yes, I have. Unfortunately. I mean, thankfully, these little boogers don't go too fast. So
Right.
scoop it up real fast. But yeah, it's happened.
Do you, by any chance, do balut? So balut?
No, I do not. I haven't ventured into that yet.
Well, it's a whole different thing.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready, mentally prepared.
The only thing I'd be a little bit nervous about on balut is, I mean, you obviously you candle the egg as you're going through the incubation process, but what if that chick dies partially, halfway through the incubation, and then you sell it to somebody and they cook it up, and I don't know, that always scared me. Mignon says, questions, what do you feed your adults and chicks? Do you give them greens and seeds and other things?
We feed them our adults a layer feed and our chicks game bird crumble. We do mostly in the summers. I will give them some because we do get hot down here. Frozen cucumbers and sometimes some watermelon. Not a whole lot though, just a little bit. And sometimes if we do have fresh greens available, we'll give them that as well.
What kind of feed, if you don't mind me asking?
We use the Neutrina. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Okay. Promised Land Homestead says, question, what is your goal for future production, adding new colors, etc.?
We are working on some other color projects. We're going to see kind of how those pan out. But I kind of let the quail take center stage, that kind of guide us which way we're going. They were the ones that brought us even to this point. I didn't expect to be where we are today. So it just depends. We are working on some stuff though.
Okay. And by the way, Mignon, you've had some good comments in there and questions in there. So Mignon, I'm going to give you some hatching eggs from Thieving Otter Farm. So if you would, email me your, I better put my email address in there. Email me your shipping information. Don't forget a good phone number. Oh, I can't even spell Coturnix. Unbelievable. Good email address and good phone number. Okay, we already got that one. Trucker Planet says, questions. What's a minimum order on hatching eggs?
Right now, our minimum order is a 60 count.
Jesse Ben Bourne says, what temperature do you scald them at? I haven't plucked one yet.
We do it right at boiling. I'd have to look up to remember exactly. I think it's around, it's 180. I'd have to look it up to recall.
I scald at 155, 160.
Yeah, I know it was a zero number. I think it's 160 that we usually bump it up to.
Yeah. All right. Sundial Fragrance says, are you feeding grit to your quail?
Only if we offer extra snacks, but otherwise, how the feed is made, they don't require it.
Jeremiah Gorton says, question, what incubator do you recommend?
I love our hatching time. I've tried a few other incubators, and by far it was the best investment that we've made.
Right. That you can't beat their humidity system on that thing. It's amazing.
Oh, not at all. It's great.
Midland says, question, do shipped eggs have a good hatch rate during the cold winter months?
It depends how cold your area is, but generally people with the cooler weather, the hatched eggs tend to do very well more than they would in the extreme heat of summer.
Okay, Bob's consistent problems with high altitude hatching. What issues with altitude? I have issues at 7,800 feet. Appreciate any suggestions. I have a Brinzy and cover with a wool blanket to help maintain consistent temperature, except for the vent.
Oh, I haven't dealt with altitude, so unfortunately, I don't specifically know the answers to this. I would actually pose that question probably in the Coturnix Corner group, because I know I've seen it posted previously where people in high altitudes, they kind of came together and were chatting back and forth. So
Right.
they
Yeah,
probably
and he
do
may
both.
have already, because this has been an ongoing question or issue with Bob. I've been trying to figure out, what changes he could make. It seems to me like he's doing all the right things. It's just for some reason he's getting poor hatch rates. Mr. B says, question, do you craft or do jewelry with your eggs? If so, what sells well for you?
I do not. My daughter makes things, but it's nothing that's for sale. She has made earrings and things like that. I don't know if that's something we would venture into.
Mignon wants to know, do you compost your quail droppings and how?
Okay, so when composting quail droppings, yes, we do. And the big thing with that is it's considered a hot compost. So you need to let it sit for quite a few months before it's ready to put down onto any planting areas, because it'll literally, the ammonia in it will burn up the plants if you use it too soon.
I agree. Sunshine Silver Rabbitry says, question, would you say genetics or feed makes the biggest difference in egg and weight gain? Do you have a specific genetic lines that you really love?
Feed and genetics, I think, can go hand in hand here. If you have the genetics, but you're giving poor quality feed, even the best quality bird may not produce good eggs. But then if you have a poor quality bird, even though you're feeding it well, it might not give out either.
Right.
And then I forgot the second part of that question.
Do you have a specific genetic lines that you really love?
I love reds and I love pansies. So the root pansy is my favorite.
Okay, Teresa says, question, best way to store eggs and how long are they good for? I found mixed info online when looking into this.
So they're good generally up to 3 months in the fridge and about up to 3 weeks on the counter if they're unwashed. Now, if you wash them, they need to go right in the fridge.
Mignon says, question, how loud is it with that many birds?
Actually, it's not that bad. The boys do their thing for a few minutes in the morning and then again right before bed, but they're pretty quiet.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Carrie is in the house. Cool. Glad you could join us, Carrie. Emma says, question, did you start by selling mixed varieties until you developed more of a particular color line?
No. I have everything that we're working on, like color-wise, is separated. My assortment I take from those different separate sets to put an assorted collection together, but those are not, they haven't just been mixed and bred together. There's purpose.
Right. So do you have any idea what the time frame is when you'll start selling, like, say, the red pansies or some of the other color varieties? Did you freeze? Okay, it looks like she froze up. We'll give her a second. Let me know, Leah, if you can hear me. I'm going to disconnect her and let her come back in. Okay, yeah, Carrie, welcome to the show. Glad you could make it. Here's the information that you guys need to give us as far as if you are called on for a winner. Name, address, email address, phone number, and there's my email. we lost you there for a second,
Yeah,
Leah.
I'm trying to get back. I'm back.
Okay, next question. Mignon says, what's the best way to minimize food waste? What kind of feeders do you use?
We primarily have the hatching time system feeders. So they have a grate on top, which helps immensely with them kicking food everywhere. But you want to look primarily for a low waste feeder. There's tons of options out there. And I can tell you, if I don't put that grate on top of the feed, they will sling that stuff everywhere. They just love to do that. So as soon as that grate goes down, they stop.
Have you had any issues where the birds they'll actually grab the grate and start moving it aside?
Oh yeah, they do that.
I had a couple hens that I could fill up the feeder, put the grate back on, and 30 minutes later I'll come back and the grate's halfway off the food and all their food is kicked all over the place. I think they were just doing it to piss me off.
Probably. I think that's what they do to me too.
Jesse Ben Borden says, any plans for a pansy salad online?
Possibly. It's possible.
Gina says, question, anything you wish you knew before you got your quail or anything you'd change from when you started?
I had a really rough go when we first got started. Even though I had thought we'd done a ton of research, I really did not start off with the very best birds. But we quickly fixed that. Everything that I had originally started off with, we went away from and kind of started back over. The first birds I got were severely aggressive. And I was about to get out as fast as I got in. But thankfully, there's some really awesome breeders out there that I was able to get some good lines from and get going.
Yeah, I had the same issue back when I first started. TSK Quail says, what do you sell your quail for at the market?
It's going to be different for every location that you're at and what your market really is. I do have to say we go a little bit higher here from where I'm at just because we're near Tampa. So it's not as easy to find quail in Tampa than more farmland type areas. So you got to really look at your own market in your state to decide where your pricing is going to go.
Jesse Ben Bourne says, how far were you into your quail journey before getting the hatching time incubator?
4 months. 4 months I switched. We had a couple bad hatches in the other incubators, and I was like, for everything I'm putting into this, we might as well just go big.
Sure. Rebecca says, question, do you feed your quail pellets exclusively?
No, so our chicks get a game bird crumble, and then we feed a mini pellet to our adults.
And they don't have no problems with the pellets?
No, they're perfect size. It works out really good. It actually helps with waste as well.
Oh, cool. That's one thing I've never tried. Sunshine Silver Rabbit Tree says, question, on a limited budget of $300, do you have a recommendation on an incubator that would best to start and upgrade within 2 years?
I could tell you the ones not to get.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Terry. The ones I started out with, I didn't care for. So
right. And like you say, it depends on what you're looking for. I mean, are you going to be hatching a lot of eggs? The Brinzies are really good. Baratos is a good name. They've got some decent incubators for... I'm trying to think. I've got the Lumia 16. I want to say that's under $300. And a lot with incubators is getting them dialed in. If you get them dialed in and tweaked, even a junk incubator will work. But you've got to really know what's going on, inside your incubator. Because if you don't know what's in your incubator, even though the regulator's reading, 99.5, it could be 96 in your incubator, and you wouldn't know it. So we're actually working on a video on that right now. So Obsidian says, do you... Go ahead.
Sorry, the issue I had with most of the other incubators that we had previously was the fact that even though it said they were at a certain temp or humidity level, it was never correct.
Yep. Right. Yep. Obsidian says, do you soak your processed meat birds in salt water overnight before you sell?
No, we do not.
Let's see. Skyway Paranormal says, on average, how many eggs a week are you hatching?
Right now about 250.
So too many?
Yeah, too many.
Jesse Van Born says, have you ever had a breeder that started out with a good temperament and then later changed?
I have had recently, but we found out there was a purpose behind it. So usually anyone that has good temperament, if they start acting out of the ordinary for any reason, there's usually an issue. And he had cut his foot. So we pulled him, we got him healed back up, and we were able to reintroduce, and he was fine.
Cool. Jesse Van Born says, at what age do you select your breeders?
Generally between 8 and 10 weeks. Our jumbo is usually at 10 weeks.
Okay. Skyway Paranormal says, do you supply any birds as feeders for reptiles?
Not at this time.
Okay, another one from Skyway Paranormal says, what starter food do you use and what do you feed to your quail that are producing eggs?
We use the Neutrina feed, and we use game bird starter crumble for the babies and layer feed for the adults.
Okay. Mignon says, after dressing the bird, how long do you have to wait before eating them?
We usually let them sit for about 48 hours in the fridge before we use them. That gives them some time to rest.
How close to, like, say, you're going to a market, how early do you do the butchering to
Usually about
sell?
3 days.
Yeah.
About 3 days, and then we tend to freeze.
Bob says, I scald at 135 for 20 plus seconds, or 20 seconds, and then the feathers rub right off.
Yeah, scalding helps a lot.
Yep. Jolly Jacobite says, what's the best line for eggs?
Generally, I mean, some standard sized birds can lay a large egg as much as a jumbo can. So it's really depending, again, like what your goals are. If there's specific colors you want to work with. If you're just wanting to do eggs, then you might just want to go with a standard jumbo line of browns or Egyptians. And just make sure that whichever breeder that you do get the eggs from does work on the egg size.
Skyway Paranormal says, do you offer tours of the farm for local folks that want to purchase birds or eggs?
For biosecurity purposes, no, we do not.
Right. A lot of people don't. It's
too risky.
It is. You got that much time and money into your birds.
Before we had the quail, we would tour the gardens. But then once the quail came on board, you got to keep them safe.
Skyway Paranormal says, what are the percentage of protein on your feeds?
The game bird starters at 28%, and I believe the layer feeds at 18%.
Okay. Fig Tree Farm wants to know, what hatching time incubator do you have?
We started with the small one, but we've got the big one now. I think it's the 180. I think.
Yeah, I've got the CT60 here.
Yeah, we started with that, and it wasn't enough.
Hickabilly says, will compost worms speed up the process?
Actually, so compost worms, you shouldn't give any type of fecal matter to. The only thing that could possibly break it down into compost faster is actually your soldier fly larvae.
So I was just going to ask you if you have natural soldier fly up there.
They show up all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Willie says, question, as a beginner, how many should I start with and what breed of jumbo for meat and eggs?
For it's going to depend kind of what your goals are. So if you're just wanting a small covey for some eggs, and then to branch out into meat, it's going to depend on your family size too. Um, if you have, you might want to start with like a small amount, like 4 hens to 1 male. If you're a small family, I might double that if you're a large family size of 4, and kind of just to not get overwhelmed when you're first getting started.
Okay, Obsidian wants to know, why are my 5 roos so noisy?
Because they're boys.
Just been born says, is there a computer program or app that you use to track your reading program?
I input my information into the computer, but I just use Excel for that. I don't have any special apps or anything that I use.
Okay. Olive wants to know, why would quail not lay even if they have supplemental lighting and no predators?
There could be various reasons for this. Supplement. It could be anything from territorial. It could be any type of stress. You'd be amazed sometimes what quail will consider predators. Is, do you have a dog that might be peeking in at them, or are they getting scared by a child easily? So you really have to assess everything that's going on in the environment.
Right. Carl wants to know, what's the hardest quail to raise?
I haven't raised all the types of different quail that are out there, so I don't know, but I like my Coturnix.
Yep, me too. Gina says, what's the most important thing you've learned so far in raising and housing quail?
That they're addictive. Yeah.
They are at that.
They're like potato chips.
Child of God says, how do you know if you have mini pellets? Accidentally ordered pellets from Chewy while looking for less expensive feed. Right now, mixing it with a crumble, and they're eating it.
On the bags that we purchase, it specifically says it's a mini pellet right on the bag.
Right. Skyway Paranormal says, well statement. Aaliyah's awesome and will help anyone that wants to get into the hobby. She helped me get started and has continued to help along our journey. I kind of figured, seeing Skyway, that they were up near your neck of the woods.
Yeah. Yep. We're about 45 minutes from Skyway Bridge.
There you go. Jennifer says, question, my quail cracked their skulls open from jumping in the enclosure. What did I do wrong? What can I change? Help, please. I'm new to this.
It's probably going to depend on how tall your enclosure is. Usually you want to keep the enclosures very short, like about 12 inches, or they need to be tall, right around 6 foot, because they pop up, and it's just how they escape predators when they get scared. Mm-hmm. And if the enclosure is not tall enough for, they could definitely pop up and hit that. I would probably measure how tall your enclosure is at.
Yep, I agree. Jess Ben Bourne says, what cull methods do you use?
A quick one. We usually, I use a thumb and finger and cervically disconnect.
Yep. Hannah says, question, have you had any issues with scalping? One of my hens seems to be a target and has been scalped by 4 different roos.
Personally, with the birds we have now, no, we have not. In the very beginning, the first birds that I had gotten, yes, they were aggressive. And we had since gotten rid of those birds. But I would check environmental factors as well. If there's anything that's stressing them out, how much space they have. If they have too much space, they can actually get very territorial and start picking on one another. There could be quite a lot of different factors involved in that.
What did I do here? Okay, and Hannah, you are going to get a $50 Hatching Time gift certificate for your question. Email me all your information, and I will make sure you get that. Make sure I get a good email address, because that's how they're going to send it to you. Let's see. Jesse Van Born says, what's the largest number of eggs you have hatched at a time?
Usually I haven't really gone over 250. Okay, probably about 300. I think that's about the biggest hatch that I've done.
Shelby says, how do you record inventory with your birds/eggs?
I write everything down in a notebook, with what I have, what is due to go out. And that's kind of how I just personally track it. Everybody's going to be different with what type of tracking systems work for them. But that's what I do.
David says, do you use Producer's Pride mini pellets?
No, we do not. We use the Neutrina.
Okay. Carrie put the stuff up there again. That actually brings us down to the bottom of our list. But why am I seeing... Oh, never mind. I went the wrong way on that. Do you have a favorite quail recipe?
I like to do it quick and easy. I like skin on and throw it in the air fryer with on top of, we do sliced lemons and place them on top of the lemons and with some rosemary, salt, pepper, and good to go.
Cool. Big Don says, what's considered overcrowding in the incubator?
You want to make sure, well, a lot of the incubators have, divider racks or trays, and so you fill it appropriately to what you can put in the space. But you don't want to, when you go to put the eggs in lockdown, you want to make sure they have room to move and roll and pop out of that egg.
Shelby says, Neutrino layer or all flock?
The layer feed for our adults.
Okay. David, if you want to add the rest of your question, I will go ahead and read that here. This stupid computer. Okay, here we go. David Smith says, what advice for someone going from a small incubator to a cabinet incubator?
The best thing I can say is if you're going to a good quality cabinet incubator, you're going to love it. You're not going to look back. Yeah. And it's very easy to set lots of eggs, and that just fuels the addiction. So there's that. Shelby
wants to know, what's your favorite chick pattern? I love the pansy chicks pattern.
Pansy is my favorite. The next up would be the sparklies.
Yeah, something about that little red head when it pops out of an egg.
Yeah, so they're super cute.
Hickabilly wants to know, why would my 4 hens attack and blind my roux? Space is 2 foot by 3 foot.
You're going to want to check and make sure that all their needs are met. But if it's 2 by 3, I don't know. What would you think, Terry?
Well, I mean, 2 by 3, it's 6 square feet, and he's only got 5 birds in it.
Yeah.
Could be that, but sounds to me like he might have, a hen that's... I don't know if all your hens are actually attacking your roux. You might have one that's aggressive, trying to be more dominant than the rooster is. I've had roosters that were really sissies, I guess you'd call them. They didn't make good breeders. I would separate them for a while and see if you can't get them to calm down a little bit. But I don't know. It sounds to me like your roux's just not a man. he's a sissy. Okay, I think that's about it as far as the questions go. Was there anything, Leah, that you wanted to reiterate on or touch on again before we go?
Anybody, if there's something you don't see on our website, they feel free to reach out to me. I can probably give them a better idea of what's coming out or what we're working on.
Okay. And what was your website again? I think
It's
I just put that up there, didn't
www. I think so.
I thought I put it up there. Maybe it was just your phone number. Hold on, I'll put it up there real quick.
Yeah, I'm still figuring out the whole website thing out. I'm working on it. It's a very slow process because I'm not very good at it.
Okay, there is Leah's website. So if you need to get a hold of her, phone numbers on there also. You can call her if you have any questions. I don't know what we got going on for next week. I don't have any other guests lined up as far as coming on and doing the farm introduction thing. I'll see what we can work out this week. But if you guys are around Sunday, you don't have anything to do at 9 o'clock in the morning, join us for the Coturnix or the morning musings. I'm just waiting to see if we have any last minute questions. Skyway Paranormal says, talking to Shelby, I use the 22% mini pellets called Egg Producer. Okay. Leah, thank you so much for coming on. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Absolutely. And if you're ever back down in my neck of the woods, feel free to swing by. Bring some of them red pansies with you.
Sure will.
Okay, cool. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us tonight. Appreciate it. Like I said, if we do get somebody set up for next week, I'll go ahead and post it over on the different groups that we're in, and we'll take it from there. So everybody have a great week, great weekend, and we'll see you on the next one.